it's part 2 of our N64 special. And what an introduction that was. I am Sol.
And I am Eddie.
Yes, and Eddie, you've brought us some of your games for the N64.
That's what they are.
You've seen the console version of the TAT. Now we're going to see the old game version of the TAT. And you've brought a selection here, and you have many more upon you. And we're going to have a little look at what you've got, a little look-see, as it were. And we have to start off with what is probably the epitome of all Nintendo64 games. It is, of course, South Park Chef's Love Shack.
Yes. So if you played that game, it's actually brilliant. It is a panel show game. You compete against your other opponents on like a game show that Chef hosts, and then there's some mini games. So it's very much like Mario Party, but not adult rated. And it's famous with Chef singing the Chef's chocolate salty balls song.
Oh yes, suck on my chocolate salty balls. And
he's got a song about threesomes as well. You and me and her simultaneous.
Put them in your mouth and suck.
There you go. Yeah.
I think I might got being stuck there with the songs.
It was great. It was just you'd have a game. You'd have a few questions, then there'd be a mini game, and then Chef would just randomly break into song. A lot of scantily clad ladies as well.
Nice. You like this game?
That is actually a fantastic game.
It's made by Acclaim. Now, Acclaim have a very mixed bag.
They do.
I've not
heard the name for a long time, actually.
They, I think they went under and was consolidated by EA.
Probably,
I believe.
Most likely.
One of EA's victims.
All-consuming EA.
Yeah, exactly. So, for some reason, I just got hit with EA Sports. It's in the game.
Yeah, back in the day.
But this isn't the only one that was on 64, so I'm quite surprised by this.
Yeah, and you would be, if you were to look at all these games I've got here, you would assume that South Park was quite a popular just franchise for the Nintendo 64, because there's not one, there's not two, but there's 3 South Park games.
Yeah, the South Park Rally there.
South Park Rally, the racing game, and South Park the game. So South Park Rally is a bit hit and miss. It is a gimmicky racer, very much like Mario Kart, not as polished. But it is pretty good fun. You've got running around with the little quotes for South Park. But I think that the pick of the 3 is a South Park game, and essentially, from what I can recall,
played this on the PlayStation 1.
Yeah,
rented it. Around my sisters.
You are tasked with defending the town, I think, from the mutant turkeys.
Oh, right.
And you have such weapons as the cow launcher.
That's right, I remember it used again.
You do, so you launch a whole cow at turkeys. And the turkeys are pretty terrifying, in fairness. The really high-pitched goblin noises. All the characters are there. But yeah, it's interesting. I've only noticed today there are actually 3 South Park games for the one console. So I would say they're all worth picking up,
I don't remember these 2 on the PS1, but I think being Acclaimed, they would have probably been on there.
Yeah. I would imagine probably so.
I just remember this one pretty much. This is weird for me, because there are games that I associate with just being on the PlayStation 1. It's weird to think of them as on cartridges. Rather than just on disc, thinking that... Look, the N64 wasn't any less powerful than the PlayStation. It was just, I don't know why the PlayStation's got a bit more of a reputation for its processing power, I think. And
I think
its
it was
CD
the discs, I think, wasn't
disc
it?
drive,
I would say that. I think I would associate cartridges with, just for some reason, for toys really, they're less polished. If you look at a CD, especially at the time when they were pretty new, they look a lot more sort of official, I suppose, a lot more high end.
Yeah, no, I suppose that's very true.
I got some fun
especially
memories,
considering PC would have been very high end at the time. Yeah,
absolutely that. I've got some fun memories as well. So the original South Park game, when I was in hospital, I was in hospital for about a week once with after an operation on my ear, and I went to the hospital school. And I met some kids there, and they had a PlayStation there, and I played this game. I was about 9 years old. Maybe it wasn't quite as appropriate for a 9-year-old as it could be. But yeah, a lot of fun.
No warning
spent playing
on the cartridge itself, but that's rather odd.
But also, so when COVID is over and we can have groups gatherings again, South Park Chef's Love Shack game night would be good fun.
Which one am I? Am I Stan or Kyle? Because I'm definitely not Cartman. I'm not Kenny.
No, Stan is the better of the 2. Carl's a bit whiny. You're not a whiny person.
Oh, fuck.
Well, maybe so. Yeah. You could be Chef.
He's
no longer anymore, unfortunately. But,
put these games in your mouth and suck them.
There you go. I mean, you could. You just put them in your mouth and blow them. That's how they work, isn't
it?
So,
yeah, we talked about that, didn't we? When in doubt, give it a blow.
There you go.
Well, we have to bring in
Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. Yes. Absolutely great multiplayer game, very widely regarded as a fantastic multiplayer game.
Only this game's on PC now.
Yeah, I remember the title music.
I never discovered Turok until the PS3 game, which was a reboot of the franchise. Wasn't very good. I ran through it very quickly.
I got the original there as well, and Turok 1 was not good.
I've got both of these on PC, and when I got on PC, I was like, okay, now I see what I'm missing out.
Yeah.
Obviously, PC ran so much better anyway, but again, made by Acclaim. I'm
noticing a pattern. There's quite a few here made by Acclaim as well, so they're big at the time.
Yeah, it's very much so, very much so. This one's got a certificate on it. Both of these have got certificates on it.
It was a very graphic game. I remember, you had a weapon called the Cerebral Ball, which was essentially a whirling dart that you shot at people, and when it only targeted when you had them in sight for quite a few seconds.
Oh right.
But you'd watch it, and in the N64 very sort of polygon graphics, it would drill into the side of their head, and you'd see the drill going into their head, the blood coming out. It was very brutal for the time. It was a wicked game.
So Turok, this is basically dinosaur hunting. Really.
You just essentially hunting dinosaurs, and then there's one level where all the dinosaurs are blind. And you've got these weapons called Sunfire Pods that are just... I don't really know. You just throw them at them and they just... It's crazy. It is a very good multiplayer game, very good game. And me and my mum also have a gimmick that we still talk about now. That when you go underwater for quite a long time, you'll get a computer-generated voice that will say, your oxygen is low. And that we always used to laugh because it just said in such a weird voice. So we still say it to each other every so often.
Nice. In what context?
There you go. I've got stories for everything. I could talk for hours.
I noticed down there is 007. The world is not enough, and obviously right here we have probably what many people consider the greatest N64 game, GoldenEye. Bit scratched up on the surface here, I noticed. Looks like Pierce Brosnan's been divided into three.
Yeah.
He's been drawn and quartered.
These are these were the we've had them since we were kids, so it's probably just a penny dragged across it or something, how kids look after games.
Again, this defined a generation of the N64, I would say. It's one of the first things people think of. This I remember on PS1, didn't even know it was on the N64.
No.
Really shocked to see this here. EA Games produced this one. Rare produced this one,
and you can tell the difference in quality as a result of that.
So licensing issues here. This is one of the reasons why GoldenEye never received any kind of sequel, never really got ported, and when it did get remade, it was on multiple consoles, and it was produced by EA because EA owned the license. So the whole thing.
It's quite nice that it didn't get a sequel, I think, because some of these games, they stand out so perfectly, and I think a sequel, unless it's perfect, it would just tarnish the reputation. I think you can't do it better. There's no point.
I don't think GoldenEye 008 would ever have
very true.
Taken off. The films themselves,
not great.
Not great. No. What's Not Enough is very forgettable, I think.
I think a GoldenEye I actually owned on VHS, and I remember it was the notable bit was Sean Bean.
Yeah.
First time I've ever seen him in anything, and of course he died very early on.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Wasn't he Trevelyan? Was he Trevelyan? Is that the name of the guy?
Something like that.
So I remember I always used to play as him in the multiplayer because I preferred his character, and it was a very pixelated rendering.
No one's allowed to play as Oddjob. Because
he's the height
shorter than everyone else. That's right. Yeah.
You had a gun, I think it was a Kalashnikov or something, but it looked like a big pencil that had just been sharpened. So back in the day,
there's something more nostalgic than seeing the AK-47 rifle. Because it don't look like a gun.
No,
it's a weird perspective, really, isn't it? It looks like it's on a sneaker cue.
It does, very much so.
But classic game. I'm surprised to see The World Is Not Enough is on here. I'd love to see it running and see how it did actually run. But EA then got the license some point in those few years, and I don't know. I don't think is GoldenEye a good game.
GoldenEye is a brilliant game. It is dated now, so I think it's one of those. If you played it at the time, and you still play it now, I think it's a masterpiece. It is a very good game.
But are you just talking about multiplayer, or are you talking about single player?
No, single player. The campaign is really nice as well. The campaign is long. It is quite detailed. There are some really good things, like you can drop down from vents and things.
I think you're right. I think it is a good game. It's one thing about GoldenEye that I hated. Is as one of the only 3 games I had on the N64.
Yeah.
The fucking escort mission.
Yeah. She
would just walk in the fucking way of everyone. Seeing her spin around and die constantly. Like, it's so far. And that tarnished the single player. But I never really had multiplayer. I never really played multiplayer because I didn't know anyone to play with.
No.
So
benefits of having a lot of
why I went to the PS1. But like playing with you, really brought back a lot of nostalgia. And they are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So I have to bring up the kind of outlier in this group here, Hexen. Which I remember on the PS1, didn't know it was on 64. I always remember this with the game Exhumed.
Oh right, okay.
Which is another first-person, almost basically Doom clone. Whereas Exhumed was a Doom clone, this is actually made by id Software. So this is not just a Doom clone, as it were, but actually produced by Doom. Yeah,
and it is essentially Doom, but set in sort of a medieval world with monsters and that. And I'm not sure if the PS1 was, so the PC version was the same. We got this from Cash Converters for a few quid once, me and my dad, and it's French. And I didn't know it was French. I don't speak French, he doesn't speak French. Right. We muddled through the game. I remember opening, because once you turn the game on, it starts with Salut Mortel, which is hello mortal or human, I don't know. I don't speak French. And then it says more French words, and then everything is in French. And I just assumed either he'd picked up the French version of the game, or it was always in French. So that game's in French. It's a really good game. It's great. It's very similar to Doom. You've got mana points, you've got health points, things. You pick up in little vials.
It is French, yeah. It says at the bottom in the code, France.
There you go. So we picked up the French version.
Whereas this says UK, and this one here has just general Europe.
Yeah, it's a really good game. It's it's got the same things as Doom. It's got like not the key points of things, but it's obviously it's keys as opposed to key cards. The monsters come out. It's a very visually very similar game, and it runs really nicely. It's a nice game. But the fact that I can't speak French and it's the French version,
very fond memories. But yeah, you have got the French version.
There you go. I just assumed the whole game was in French, and that was the only way it was sold.
What else you got down there?
Yoshi's Story.
This is what is. Well, this is more of a Nintendo staple.
That was a beautiful
come to that
game.
In a minute.
Actually, Perfect
have a look. Perfect Dark. Now, Perfect Dark. Here's Perfect Dark here. Now, the only version of Perfect Dark I played was the one that came to the Xbox 360.
Was it Zero?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, and it was trash. Yeah. So I didn't really know much about Perfect Dark before that. It's basically the rare title. Did it follow GoldenEye? Or did it come out before it?
I'm not sure with the. I think it came out afterwards because it wasn't. It's one of those games that it was really really good, and it would have been had GoldenEye not been there. It would have been bigger. I think it's one of those that it's a brilliant game, but it maybe didn't get as much as the hype.
Rare developed a great system for first-person shooter. They lost the license to Bond, so they came up with Perfect Dark. I'm assuming that's how the timeline went. I don't know. You can correct me on that. And so you have a lot to live up to when you're coming in with an original IP to harness some of these features that you've already kind of mastered, and deliver it again without the branding or the licensing. So this had a uphill fight, and it did unfortunately fail because it's dead.
Yeah, there you go. It had, I think it was one of the older games with a female protagonist as well.
Very true. Because Metroid was the one that obviously broke the ground there, which I think was great for a toy manufacturer of Nintendo because it wouldn't have been as hammered in the press as some other things. Like the fact that The Last of Us 2 that came out last year, I think it was, you play as a female protagonist throughout most of it, and that caused most of the internet to go fucking ape shit. Yeah. The fact that it was still in that kind of...
That's it, and I think the good thing about Metro, I think the funniest thing was obviously Samus. You don't know Samus is a female until I think in the end when she takes off the suit and it's she's got long hair. It's a lady.
All the time.
I like that the sort of you didn't know, whereas this it's from the start you are a female protagonist, and I think that is quite a big deal for the time.
I've noticed here another first-person shooter in Quake 2.
Quake 2, yeah.
And Quake, I just bought the remastered editions on PC, and they look fucking fantastic. I would love to see it in all its beauty. Now, I associate Quake franchise with the Sega Saturn.
Yeah. I never really thought of it as a Nintendo game.
Yeah, not at all. Surprised to see it here. I do love them. Obviously, id Software, published by Activision. I'm surprised to see. And I'm interested to go back just quickly to see who published Hexen. Raven Software was involved in this.
Oh, I've seen Raven Software as something like most recently, actually.
Oh, you saw them recently? I thought Raven went bust.
I might think of something else. Raven. I've played Hex with it. Well, I remember just saw on that.
Oh, right. Okay. That might be right.
I never saw that on that.
Raven Software, I think, was also acquired by Activision, but this was actually published by GT, which might be because it was a French.
A lot of these games a lot of these companies have sort of consolidated things.
But we're going to bring forward Doom64 here now. When I think of this is one of the other games that I had. Obviously, id Software, obviously now owned by Bethesda, only more recently, but Midway was the one that I associated very much with the publication of the Doom franchise for the most part. Obviously, more of a PC thing. But when it came to console, Midway was the one that I always represented. So I'm surprised to see Activision publishing Quake. Obviously, these are the id Software first-person shooters that broke the mold.
They did. Doom 64 is still a brilliant game. It's looks. I mean, it's obviously it's N64 graphics, but the jump between I think the original Dooms and that was pretty massive. And I remember very fondly sitting at home and reading in the instruction manual you get with this the lore about all the different monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
And the difference between, I think, Lost Soldier and a shotgun guy. They look the same, apart from very distinct differences in the guns they had. And I quite like that sort of touch.
What were the little? This is going to bother me. But what were the little the pink things, dog-like creatures?
Oh, you had the Lost Souls, were the ones that they spewed. Oh my goodness!
Is it pinkies? What are the pinkies?
The pinkies, the little running demons. So you had the shotgun guys, Lost Soldiers, shotgun guys. Then you had spectres and ball demons. Yeah, ball demons and spectres are the little pink ones, and the spectres are the invisible ones. You had imps and
so the spectres were the invisible ones, but the seeable ones were
ball demons.
Oh,
the little run across the floor with the bright pink. Then you had the Kaku demons, which were a lot bigger. They floated, shot fireballs.
So I had a nightmare of Doom64 regularly of those pink running things coming after me because the graphics were so good at the time.
Yeah.
Compared to playing Doom, that I felt like I could literally dream of them and feel like it was real, which was frightening. I remember there's like a stairwell that goes down and they all pop out. And for some reason, that my nightmare was going down that stairwell and being cornered by these horrible things.
It's pretty awful. There's a level on this. If you fall off a ledge, you get just bombarded by spectres, and they're invisible, and you're in the dark. You cannot see, and you just hear yourself just dying, and the death cry. Ah! It's pretty. But, I mean, you look at sort of some of the enemy. I remember meeting a cyber demon for the first time, and you can hear a little mechanical leg moving, and you can't see it, and it's an absolute unit when you see it, and you sort of a shot from its rocket launcher will take most of your health in one go, and strafing that for 10 minutes straight shooting it is an absolute feat.
We've got a regular in the community, Lord Entropy. I don't know if you're watching this. I know you might be, because I know you love this stuff. Lord Entropy makes Doom maps.
Serious?
I've played one of those.
Brilliant!
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And he's in that whole community. It's fantastic to see. Just from an outside perspective, like the amount of effort and to keep innovating on something that's so like 30 years old near enough. It's fantastic. So he's a big fan. He loves his Doom. He loves his shooters, and he's a wonderful guy. So I think he's going to really love the fact that we talk so highly of these.
It's a
and
great
I got
game.
Nightmares because of it.
I'd play that game now. It's so many. I think it's like 31, 32 maps. So many beautiful secrets in it. Like there's a lot of secrets when you have to hit switches in a certain way. There's even the first level you have to. There's secrets involving the barrels. You get sent back to the start of the game once, and you have to shoot every single barrel in the game, but you have to shoot the barrels at the start at the very end, because they will then spawn the last monsters, and then they will spawn a secret entrance, a secret exit.
That's
and
cool.
It's just for that time, you would never be able to find out unless you had a cheat box like a manual or something, But even then, looking at the secrets, I think, oh man, I think one of the first game streaming videos I ever watched was a Doom speed run as well, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it's amazing to see people do that kind of stuff. It really is. I love watching people do old puzzle games and adventure games and speed runs, because that's not something you associate with speed running as well. But for me, it's like I want to see how quick they can solve the puzzles. And like there's games like The Seventh Guest where they're just really complex puzzles one after another, and obviously everyone knows the solution, so they're trying to skip through the cutscenes really quickly, then hitting the precise movements to win the puzzle in the quickest way possible. And I love that. It's so cool. But like this adds a little bit element of skill rather than where that's just remembering stuff. You've got to factor in all variants of AI. Absolutely brilliant. What have we got? Oh, this was something that we commented on the last.
Light Wars, that's thing. Andros in the back, the big robot man. Well,
Andros.
Everybody's good at Andros. I think that's actually just a monster. Andros is a big floating head that you fight at the end. These, as you can see, the polygons are all there, triangles are all there. You know, they're really good games actually. This is a lot more fleshed out than the original Starwing. But yeah, it's a very good game actually. Very nice.
I can't really speak much on the Fox series.
No, I played Starwing was good. Then they had Star Fox Adventures on the GameCube, which was very much an RPG, very different. It wasn't. I think there was only one segment. I think when you actually shot from a fighter in the sky. Most of it was very much. It's beautiful. Star Fox on GameCube was a beautiful game. Still stands up now in terms of graphics and that. Mm-hmm. And essentially you went around fighting. You sort of bartered with you collected scarabs as currency. You bartered with shops. You know, you were repairing things. It was a very different game. You never complete it.
Oh, you never complete it? Oh.
No, because I always just get towards the end and
I have a question for you.
Go on.
This is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. Never knew it was on the N64.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But when you were picking up the games, did you pick it up twice?
So one of these I got. I'll tell you a little story about them. It's not a very interesting story, but essentially I had one of these from when I was a kid, and I every so often I'll go onto eBay and pick up a few games for a few that I thought was quite cheap, you know, just to add to the collection, because you know even if you're playing for like an hour you don't like them, you only spent a £5, you know, it's not an issue, and it's quite nice having a bit of nostalgia as well. And Rainbow Six was one of those games I didn't know I had, and I thought, I just assumed I'd lost it when I was a kid. And it was only when I started renovating and moving things around I realised I already had it. There's a few games here. I think I've got 2 copies of. I've had about 3 copies of Zelda. I've got quite a few. Look, again, Rugrats Treasure Hunt. I've got one here, and I've got the box version there as well.
Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that now. Actually, yeah. So Rugrats, there it is, the box version. Now this is how N64 games would come in these packages. These sort of like almost like sideways video cassette cases, like the old original video cassette cases, which I think is lovely. I mean, they wear more easier than CDs, but at least like if it goes like a CD case breaks, like it's crack, you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. This box might get a bit worn, but it never loses its actual merit unless it's like gets wet or something. You know what I mean? Like it remains consistent. Obviously, there's the game itself. So Rugrats THQ. Of course, I think they developed all the Rugrats games. Yeah. They had that franchise for ages. They just kept churning them out. I played a few of them briefly.
Yeah. I didn't play this one. I think the one I liked was Rugrats in Paris. I think it was.
Yes, I remember that.
And that was. True. I think that was a pretty good game. There's a lot of mini games and stuff in that I really liked.
I think we need to hold the phone here. There is a sticker on this box that reads up to £10 off Rugrats live show tickets.
Yeah.
How the fuck did Rugrats get a live show? How did that work?
Well, essentially, they just found 4 babies that looked like the cast, really, chucked them in on a stage and just voiced them over. No, it was weird. I didn't ever go to it, but I did see pictures. And essentially, it's imagine Tommy, but a 6-foot sort of person running around in a big Tommy costume. And a big Chucky. It's quite terrifying. It wasn't supposed to be, but
I like the idea of seeing these people in full-scale costumes. So to make sure it's clear that they are babies, they've made a massive pair of legs to walk down behind them, and so they look up at it.
There you go. You know,
like Tom and Jerry sort of thing.
Listen to sort of Tommy say, you know, to his little brother Dill, you've got responsibilities. You know, always sort of been talking. Hello, let's go, Chucky. Let's go get Reptile. And it's pretty.
I remember these games being actually quite fun, if somewhat broken, but very fun. You know, they aimed at a great market, but they never really talked down to the kids.
Yeah.
They were quite open and varied in their content. a lot of mini games and very just fun stuff.
Yeah. The one in Paris with the PlayStation I had was a beautiful game, really nice game.
Absolutely. What else you got down there?
I'll just put the last ones up actually.
Yeah, certainly.
We've got a bit of room there.
Yeah, certainly.
Star Wars Racer.
Well, Star Wars Racer.
Pod Racer, obviously that was pretty good.
What? What the hell is this? I've never even seen this before. Heard of it?
So every single
Tetris
console in the world will have a variation of Tetris. It's one of those. It's just a cash grab at some point. But yeah, it's a 3D Tetris. It's the same game. It's got 3D effects and stuff, different modes and things.
Oh, Force Gemini. Now I've heard of the name. I'm not sure what the hell it is. Another rare game.
It is a good game. It's. I'm trying to think. I've not played it for such a long time. I used to play it around my friend Liam's house. Do you remember Liam?
Yes. Yes. Wasn't he in an episode of Spooks?
He was.
There you go.
A few people actually were. They filmed it at school, didn't they?
Oh, that's pretty wide. Yeah.
There's a few. I haven't played this. Some of these I bought just because they were, cheap online. In all honesty, NFL 99. I've not played
NFL 99 hockey games. I played it. I remember having one on the Sega for some reason. That's where I know EA Sports is in the game.
There you go. Got Mace, which is like a very similar game to Mortal Kombat.
Oh, interesting.
Mace, the Darkness, I think
Mace.
It says.
Oh yes, I've never heard of that. That's fantastic. Yes, the Dark Age, Mace the Dark Age. Yeah. Wield the power of the mace. I've never heard of that. Look at this. This is proper cool stuff. I wonder how much that'll fetch online. Probably nothing. But
yeah, it was only about a few quid, I think. That's why I bought it.
TAT box there.
Obviously, Mortal Kombat, and this is Mortal Kombat 4. So
that was developed by Midway.
Midway, oh, okay.
That was made by the safely made Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. So just appealing for I guess a slightly different audience. It's quite similar, maybe less brutal.
Mortal Kombat 4.
Yeah. So there's Mortal Kombat. There's some brilliant Mortal Kombat games on it.
What do you feel about Mortal Kombat 4?
Sorry.
What do you feel about Mortal Kombat 4?
It wasn't my favourite one.
For me, Mortal Kombat 4 is the forgotten Mortal Kombat.
Oh really?
Well, Mortal Kombat trilogy, the first, second, and third. Yeah. I feel like in terms of the arcade, in terms of their. The controversy around the blood, around the Sega Nintendo system. Yeah. Then the sequel come out during the height of that, then the third one, then the trilogy released with all three of them. Like, they cemented themselves. Then it went into a dark period because then 4 happened, but then after 4 we got these weird titles that some games you've never even heard of from the franchise, and it wasn't until it was basically revamped for DC versus Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And then they brought out the next Mortal Kombat in 2009. It wasn't until then that they've managed to re-establish themselves in a brand new light.
What I really liked about this, I have fond memories again going to Liam's house, and then we played. It's not this version; it's the other one. I can't remember which one it is. It's had a massive character roster, and I think it was the first one to have. You obviously have fatalities and things anyway, but then you had animality.
Yeah, that's right.
You had friendship, where you could be and babality, where you turn into a baby.
It's true,
and that was And I remember finding out the codes to the buttons for the fatalities and stuff, and it's so fantastic. Back then was pre-internet, so if you had a magazine that had all the lists and stuff, how to turn into a baby, that was great fun.
Do you think that 3D did actually hurt a lot of franchises?
I think that in a way it sort of developed a lot because obviously the graphics are better and stuff, and it all looked better, didn't it? And it ran better. But I think I have fond memories of the Super Nintendo Mortal Kombat when it was very basic and just sides. Because you don't need 3D for these games. You fight sort of side on.
Before we get on to the heart and soul of the franchise of Nintendo itself, there's a quick one here. This is Mission Impossible. I remember having this on the PS1.
It's obviously. I bought this on eBay a few years ago, or maybe from Cash Converters. I'm not entirely sure. It was from Cash Converters. It's obviously I may have stored that directly on the surface of the sun, given how bleached it is.
I was gonna say
because there's just nothing left of it.
It was meant to be red, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think when I bought it must have been like that because I don't live on the sun or anything. Yeah, it's like remnants of red there.
But I loved this game actually. I thought it was really good, really a lot of fun. Again, surprised to see it on here. I suppose my memory of the N64, because they went on to the Sega went on to the Dreamcast and PlayStation, and they went on to, and Nintendo went on to the GameCube.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like the 64 was actually around quite longer than I remember it being.
For a very long time.
So Mission Impossible, great, a lot of fun. Developed by Ocean. You don't really hear much about it anymore. I think they've got busted. And then you got Star Wars Racers, Episode 1. That was pretty good.
It was alright actually. Yeah, it was. It was great because pod racers for what they were, the Star Wars, the new trilogy when they come out 1, 2, and 3. I think the highlights for me for the episode 1 were the pod racers and Darth Maul, and the pod racers were really cool, especially as a kid. Yeah, he deserved a lot better, I think. But the pod racing, that element of it was fantastic. And there was so much. I remember getting the Lego sets, and they cost a fortune. Oh yeah. And I spent hours on Christmas Day building them, and then launching them into walls, crashing them in really dramatic crashes, and that was amazing to me.
Brilliant.
And I remember eating a bit as well. I remember at that time I was putting it back together, and I said, I wonder what it would taste like to eat a bit of Lego, and I did.
No.
And then 20 years later I forgot what happened.
But, it's still there.
It tastes like Lego.
One day you're going to shit out Anakin Skywalker's head.
Yeah. Oh my
Lego
goodness.
form. Oh my god, I found Qui-Gon Jinn at last.
Yeah, still aged better than the films.
Brilliant. We got another one here called Extreme G, which I think was an answer to Wipeout, no?
It's very similar. It's super fast.
Yeah.
Just absolutely wild. Very sort. It was alright actually. It was pretty good. It was just a really quick game.
As a Brit, I have to go Nintendo for your rip-off of Wipeout. Wipeout is a British institution.
Yeah, we hate this game. Oh, that's what I meant. It's awful.
Games developed in England. It's very hard to know where games are developed nowadays.
I can say any that were made in England. Wasn't original GTA in London?
Grand Theft Auto has always been developed here.
Really?
Always. Rockstar North.
Oh yeah, that's good. They are actually, of course.
I think they've got offices in Scotland and somewhere in North England.
Wow! Yeah. What a export that is.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
that's one of the reasons why it's such a rip at America. It's because it's being produced by people that are not American. It's been developed by a team that were poking fun at the American counterparts. Yeah. It was meant to be a parody.
Wow, alright. That explains the "your brown bread" slang in the first one. It makes no sense.
That's why the London expansion and all that, which is still wondering why they haven't developed it, but like a London fully rendered one. I just think that I'm very proud of our English history when it comes to computers and video games as well. Course, I'd love to do a whole retrospective on the history of British gaming because it's.
I think it's fascinating. Tell you many, but I bet there's would loads.
Absolutely fascinated by it. So yes, now let's get on to the heart and soul. I think here of them. We've got the Marios, we've got the Banjo-Kazooies, we've got the Yoshis, we've got the Zeldas, we've got the Pokemon.
Yeah, the only one I miss is Pokemon Coliseum. I own it, I can't find it. It's brilliant. Pokemon Stadium, sorry, Pokemon Stadium. So you can see we've got Super Mario 64 here. You've got Super Smash Brothers, Yoshi's Story, Mario Kart 64. Look at these. Look at the memories. Look at the cartridges. Look at the memories, ladies and gentlemen. I have none of them, but you have a lot. I do. Super Smash Brothers is one of my Super Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube is my favourite multiplayer game of all time. So well done. Smash Bros. On the N64 is brilliant. You've got just all your Nintendo favourites, and you just fight. You just attack each other. You've got Pikachu, Mario, Luigi, all these sort of ones. Unlock new characters and stuff. It's brilliant. It's a really good game. Mario Kart 64 again. You've got 8 characters to choose from. You've got 4 different cups. You've got things like time trials and stuff. Grand Prix. Great multiplayer game back in the day. And really good fun to play. Really hard. So, if you go on the 150cc, the highest speed, it is intense. It's not an easy game to play at all. But it is.
I played it with you, and I kept falling off the map. I couldn't get the hang of it.
But yeah, they're good games. Super Mario 64 is, I think, one of the best platforms ever made. It's massive.
This is something that I've come into contact with more recently because of creepypastas online. There's some ARGs running on YouTube that kind of say like the game testing Super Mario 64, and they're like having a personal hell, and the game starts communicating with them and stuff like that. And they've basically taken the game source code and everything and like twisted it to its own thing. There's that whole Ben Drowned thing with Legend of Zelda.
There
and
is.
That kind of
stuff. There's I remember reading that quite vividly.
So,
actually.
Pokemon Snap, didn't that have some kind of resurgence recently? Isn't there a new
there's
game?
New one out. There is a new one out. Yeah.
So this is like taking pictures of Pokemon.
It's actually really. It's a concept I don't think should work, but it's really fun. It's quite therapeutic, I think. Because you're on a little train or whatever, you're trolling along, and you're just looking at the wider environment, and there's Pokemon and just in their natural habitat as they would live, and you're just trying to get nice shots of them. So it's it's a Pidgeotto, you're trying to get a picture of flying, or there's some smiling, or there's some maybe like an Electabuzz or something, just hide it behind some bushes, and it's only out for a few seconds. You've got to get a nice photo of that.
Right.
And it's just nice, there's no, you're not chasing bad guys or anything, you're not sort of trying to save a castle stuff. It's quite just a chilled game to sit on and go and have a look and see what they would be like in the wild,
It's just a cool concept, isn't it?
It
really drove home
innovation,
the franchise,
and it is quite nice, and I do want to get the newer version actually, because I've got the new Pokemon game.
I saw a few people
the
streaming it
so.
in the community, and I stopped by and I was just like, I could poke fun at this, and poke fun at that, but it looked quite chill. They really did enjoy it. Absolutely.
And the Pokemon Stadium, which I don't have here, I do own, I can't find it. That is, the first 3D Pokemon game where you battled each other, and it was good fun, And
you got Banjo-Kazooie.
Banjo-Kazooie is easily one of the best platforms ever made. It's made by Rare, of course, so it's very good quality. You're a bear, Banjo, and you've got Kazooie, who's your bird pal. They're just a pair of guys trying to get puzzle pieces, trying to beat the bad boss Gruntilda, the big green witch. Huge levels. You just go and collect puzzle pieces by finding them or by completing tasks, helping other little NPCs and stuff out. You fight eggs at people. You can run really fast. You can fly for a little bit if you get power ups and stuff. It's a wicked game. It takes a long time. I've never actually finished it. I always got to Gruntilda when I was a kid. Could never beat her. Probably can now. And I would love if this was remastered for a newer console. I'd absolutely pay any money for it. It's a really nice game.
I've seen people stream these games recently and struggle so much.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's unreal. They're like treat it's like Dark Souls. Watching people play Dark Souls. It really is. The difficulty is real. So
there's actually a really interesting level when you can. There's a level you pound floor tiles in a certain order. It's essentially cheat codes. So you do it. You pound all the blue eggs, I think, and you get 100 blue eggs and 100 feathers and stuff, So it's like a rudimentary cheat.
And last but not least,
the two Zelda games for the N64, Ocarina of Time.
There was only two on the N64.
Only two.
I never knew that.
Yeah, they were massive. Ocarina of Time was the first one. It's if you've not played it now, I'd still recommend playing it. It's a massive game. You start off as Link, the little Kokiri child, and then you go off and you have to beat 3 dungeons. Go to the temple and you get the Master Sword. Then you beat 6 dungeons and then go to Ganon's castle. Right. It's a massive game. It can take you a long time if you want to do it all. But it's just for when it come out, it's massive. It's a beautiful game. There's so many different sort of side quests and stuff. And there's just so much to it, and you meet some really interesting characters that are all sort of synonymous with Zelda now. You can ride a Epona. I think it's the first game you could ride a horse.
Oh yeah, Epona.
You called Epona with Rockery and then she'll come run it, and it's just, you can just go and you could just walk for, obviously at the time, just for minutes. It take you quite a few minutes to run across the terrain. But it's a massive open game.
The thing I love about Zelda, despite the fact never having played any of the games, sans for when you brought in the console into our primary school for a brief minute, is the symbology behind a lot of the imagery used in Zelda. That always just a thing that intrigued me, and nothing more so than this final game here.
Yeah.
Because this is the one game I will openly say that I never played and really want to, because this game is... I don't really care how good it is in terms of gameplay. There is so much in this underneath the surface.
Yeah.
And it has so much going on that I just want to sit down and pick it apart piece by piece. And it'd be wonderful if somehow we got you to play it and I could...
Yeah, I'll play it in a heartbeat. I absolutely love it. But that's, you said, you've got the main storyline. You're trying to... The moon is coming down. Majora's Mask essentially is a mask that's cursed. It was owned by a guy called the Happy Mask Salesman, probably not his birth name. And Skull Kid was a little kid. He stole it, put it on. It took over him, and essentially he's bringing down the moon to hit the town of Termina and wipe out all life. And it's really interesting because you look at, there's so many sort of subtext and stuff. Talk to the villagers, and they're either terrified of the moon coming down, or they're in complete denial, or they're angry about it. It's quite interesting. You see parallels between the world. You're either yes or no. People are denying it. People are pretending it's not there. Just sort of getting on. I think the 4 dungeons are they're sort of modelled on the stages of grief, I think, as well. It's a very dark game.
It's very dark.
A lot of death. There's a lot of
and it's set
loss.
to a timer.
It is. You got 3 days, and at the time it is. I think every second is a minute. So
right.
You've got 2 songs where you can shorten, so you can make it go slow down, so you can play it in real time. So if you want to go in a dungeon, you play that song, so it's less time constraints.
Right. Okay.
And you got a time. You got a song you can walk to and from.
So
and go back in time or go forward in time.
This is the one issue I have with the game. Is while that is brilliant for a narrative, time constraints in video games piss me off.
Yeah.
I come from a place where I take my time with games. I'm slow and methodical. Now, streaming has made me have to sort of keep energy up, so I can't be as meticulous, or I have to avoid games that require me to do such a thing. But Grand Theft Auto, when the timer pops up, it triggers me.
It is intense.
Very much.
Can be intense.
And I don't like being rushed to do things. So the idea of this whole game, like, I could just lose from being too slow, or whatever, really infuriates me.
There's a lot of things that you have to be at certain times as well. So there's a lot of quests, and some of there's a what's his name? Kofi's Mask, Kofi's side quest. If anyone's played it, they'll know. It's a massive side quest that essentially you reunite a couple. They're a couple. They're about to be married. The man Kofi's been turned into a child.
Right.
And you have to reunite him with, I think it's Andrew. I'm not entirely sure. It's been a long time. When you're a delivery man giving notes to each other, then you go and find him, realise he's a kid, and essentially it culminates at the end on the final day when you have to infiltrate, I think his name is Sacco, the thief, infiltrate his hideout and go and get the I think it's the ceremony, the marriage mask to give, I think it might be the sun mask, to give to his wife to be and reunite them. And it is intense because on the last day, but a lot of those quests, you can only have you have essentially a minute or 2 in real time where the time is open.
Shit!
Or you can deliver a message because Andrew's only at this place for a certain amount of time.
Right, gotcha.
And then if you miss it, you miss the quest. You have to
very
walk back
innovative,
to the start.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It is really rage-inducing sometimes because you've only got certain limits, and it is hard to find. If I didn't read that guidebook religiously, I wouldn't have got it.
Right, guidebook. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it's a very dark game. There's a lot of loss and stuff, and like watching, if you do end up getting to the countdown and the time runs out, you watch the game fades out. You see a slow motion of the moon coming down.
I've seen that. It's very dark and very.
And towards the end, no spoilers. It's been out for like 20 odd years now. But when you go to the clock tower and you're going to face Majora's Mask, and you walk essentially to a really weird dimension where it's serene. It's quiet, and there's just one tree in the distance. And there's a load of kids running around, and you give masks to these kids. You collect, I think it's 24 masks, and you give them in lots of 3 to these kids. I think it's 3, and then they'll tell you to dungeons, and you go through them, and they're all got really sort of sad messages. They're asking you for help, they're asking you to play because they're lonely and stuff, And you give them all a mask away, and you get the fierce deity, deity. I don't know how you pronounce it. Fierce deity mask. You put that on, and you turn to some absolute badass, and then you can wreck the final boss with that. But it is a really cool game, and I've got a tattoo of it. I've got imagery. That is my favourite imagery. It's such an intense sort of stare, and that And I love everything it symbolises.
It stands out.
There's always beauty in the dark and stuff, and I've always admired it for that.
Yeah, it's a bold thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah,
for that franchise.
It's completely innovative, and obviously riding off Ocarina of Time, everyone thought it was a perfect game, and in many ways it probably is. And then to come out complete curveball and say this is not Ocarina of Time 2, this is a completely different game, completely different mechanics and everything, and it was brilliant. It's still regarded as one of the best games ever made.
What game followed this in the series?
You then had the Wind Waker.
Right. Okay. So I thought it was Wind Waker next, because that changed up the entire aesthetic in it, because it looked like it's cell shaded little bright colourful thing that was very different to the N64.
It was at the time I wasn't a big fan, but it's playing it sort of a bit later on. It was actually a really good game, the Wind Waker. Again, it's very different. You sailed the seas and you mapped a lot. I think the art style was more similar back when it went to Twilight Princess, the Skyward Sword. It's a lot more sort of gritty, realistic again as well. I'm playing Skyward Sword again now, actually, for the fact on the Switch. But yeah, always brilliant games. There's never, even the original ones. There's the 2 on the NES that I played. Very basic games, but still good in their own rights. And the Super Nintendo, the Link to the Past, which is, one of my top 10 games as well. Really massive world, really so much to do there. So I'm a big fan of Zelda.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was a look into some of the classics of the N64.
Yeah.
Eddie, what a collection.
Yeah, if you ever want any sort of old school Nintendo, Sega consoles, I've got them all under my bed.
Whee!
In all the boxes as well, you know, so...
Oh dear. Well,
that kind of guy.
Good job. I don't. Whoa, Eddie. What's happening?
What is happening?
I think I'm quaking in my boots.
You better snap out of it, mate.
But there's oncoming doom.
No.
You really smashed that one.
You don't know my story.
I'm getting Rainbow Six at this.
I don't think you're ready for a war.
Did I ever tell you I'm a Gemini?
Man, you two rock. No, fucking hell. You two rock.
Oh dear. If you don't stop, I'm going to put a hexen on you.
Man, that's pretty extreme wording right there.
Yeah, but it's perfect in the dark.
Yeah, following these puns is mission impossible.
See, I knew that joke was coming because I've got a golden eye.
I mean, I've said it Rainbow 6 times today already, you know, so don't worry about it.
Oh dear. Do you know what? I think the YouTube world is not enough. But if you've had enough of these crappy puns, maybe you'll watch the next video and check out some old ones, especially if you like and subscribe.
There you go.
Have you got one final pun for us?
Let's have a look.
Let's prepare our puns.
These are completely off the cuff. Don't forget Turok 2, like and subscribe. That's as good as it's going to get, in all honesty, mate. It's 10 o'clock at night.
Rally.
Oh, man, that's way better.